Top stories: Ethiopia and Egypt discuss means to overcome the current stalemate in the GERD negotiations. And South African parties put up a coalition to oust the ANC. And thank you for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed reiterated their mutual political will to enhance the bilateral relations between their two countries politically, economically, and culturally. This decision, the two said, is based on the common desire to achieve their mutual interests and the prosperity of the two brotherly people, and which will also actively contribute to the stability, peace, and security of the region and their mutual ability to deal with common challenges. The two leaders discussed means to overcome the current stalemate in the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD negotiations. In this regard, agreeing to initiate expedited negotiations to finalize the agreement between Egypt, Ethiopia, and the Sudan. During the period of these negotiations, Ethiopia has indicated its commitment during the filling of the GERD within the hydrological year of 2023-2024 not to cause significant harm to Egypt and Sudan in a manner that provides the water needs of both countries. Minister of Foreign Affairs Demeqa Mekonnen has a meeting with representatives and officials of over 10 African nations on the sidelines of the 43rd AU Ordinary Session of the Executive Council in Nairobi, Kenya, were a success. Mekonnen walked the officials and representatives through the post-conflict peace consolidation efforts of the government, while at the same time stressing Ethiopia's commitment to further cement multifaceted diplomatic ties with the countries by revitalizing joint ministerial commissions. Take a look.
The 43rd AU Ordinary Session of the Executive Council was a success in that over the course of the past 2 days, we discussed the 2024 AU budget, also forwarding ideas to beef it up before approval. The discussants took into consideration the recent economic status of the continent. Towards this end, the discussants finally reached an agreement.
Discussions are also underway to evaluate the performance of institutions under the African Union Commission. Ethiopia used the sidelines of this meeting to reflect its stance on commencing the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Mekonnen pointed out.
አጀንዳ የነበረው በኮሚሽኑ በአፍሪካ ዩኒየን ስር ያሉ የተለያዩ ተቋማት አሉ።
One of the main discussion agenda had to do with institutions under the African Union Commission. One of these is the African Center for Disease Control and Prevention that undertakes research to protect pandemics like COVID-19. The first phase of the construction of the African CDC centers in Addis Ababa has been finalized. Ethiopia expressed its desire for the AU to launch the second phase of the construction of the African CDC to provide quality service in the continent.
President Sahle-Work Zewde bid farewell to the outgoing Pakistani ambassador to Ethiopia, Shozab Abbas. The president thanked the ambassador for his contribution to strengthening relations between the two countries. Ambassador Abbas was one of the vocal supporters of Ethiopia's relentless struggle over the course of the 2-year war to expound its truth in the face of mounting external pressure.
It's not only just planting trees for greening the environment. the majority is actually contributing to food security, because around 55% or more of the plant trees and are fruit trees and other agroforestry, indigenous trees and agroforestry practices. So it's only the remaining 45% or so that is meant for just forestry.
That has led to a various even partnership amongst, like, for example, countries like Kenya that are also starting their own initiative by planting, I don't know the exact number, but a lot of numbers of trees just like Ethiopia. This has led sort of conversations to start, one, to also tackle the concept of desertification, which has been facing, which has been a huge issue in regards to Ethiopia and also some sub-Saharan countries.
Right.
And also the way that we are going to be cultivating it is sort of like growing day by day.
Most of the Green Legacy Initiative work is through, very high public participation. So it creates awareness. So from participation on the Green Legacy, actually people get awareness, not only just the tree planting, so get awareness, and that kind of public participation, if it spreads also to other countries in the Horn of Africa, which are, most of the countries in the Horn of Africa are even vulnerable to drought, are more exposed to desertification. So if they participate on such, well-planned and, nature-based solution approach for agriculture, for forestry and the like, it helps them.
Not only for Africans, but also the world. We have been the ones that had the record of planting so many trees in just one day. Not only that, the inspiration comes from even the concept of having Ethiopian related projects, because if you go across the continent, the view that they have for Ethiopia is really seen into their eyes. Our identity is really engraved in each of the African nations, and when we are the leaders of actually tackling this big issue, we are now helping various communities to also, okay, if Ethiopia is also doing this, we need to be part of this.
Welcome back. Ethiopia is one of the richest African countries with a plethora of fauna and flora that serve as a panacea for the negative impacts of climate change. To balance its rich biodiversity, Ethiopia has been implementing the Green Legacy Initiative over the past decade to enhance sustainable development. Talking to ETV English program, Deputy Director General of the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute said the Green Legacy Initiative helps reduce the rate of deforestation over and above removing 64 million gasoline-powered cars from the roads for a whole year. Habtamu Ashagre compiles the following report. Take a look.
Ethiopia plans over 25 billion saplings over the past 4 years to realize inclusive and sustainable development. The East African nation plans to restore at least 22 million hectares of its degraded land by 2030. Talking with the TV English program, Deputy Director General of Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute, Fallaqe Waldayes, said the Green Legacy Initiative is meant to counterbalance the negative impact of climate change in the globe.
At the era of climate change, the global community is very much bothered about increasing temperature at the global level, or global warming. So it is a fundamental step to plant trees that absorb gases that contribute to global warming. So in terms of global climate change, such kind of initiatives would have a very wide-reaching impact.
According to Waldayes, engaging in the Green Legacy Initiative campaign is crucial to restore the ecosystem as well and forestall undesirable effects of climate change.
It is useful for restoring our vegetation cover. Ethiopia had proportionally a good vegetation cover some 100 to 100 years ago. This vegetation cover has been reduced very significantly. And now we are at a critical stage. We need to regain at least some of this vegetation, particularly in terms of forests, woodlands. So we call this, it is restoration. We need to restore degraded environments, ecosystem.
Woldeyes underlined that despite success achieved so far, conserving the nation's natural resource is an area that leaves much to be desired. Ethiopia is one of the 25 countries in the globe that has mega biodiversity potential. Ethiopia has lately stunned the world with its record high number of seedlings for the next 4 years. With the view it has paved the way for the plantation of 50 billion seedlings in 4 years of time, Ethiopia is rolling up its sleeves to plant over 500 million saplings a day.
The trees we plant in Ethiopia are not only simply trees, but there are also some agroforestry trees, fruit crops, horticultural plants. So again, there is a benefit in relation to food security. So we say the benefits are multifaceted.
Authorities are now pushing to turn the annual tree planting campaign into a green culture. The average survival rate of seedling planted, described mostly indigenous and high-value types such as bamboo, was also put at 84%.
Ethiopia's delegation, led by Sandokan Dabbebe, State Minister for Planning and Development, took part in the 7th Ministerial Meeting on Climate, MOCA, co-organized by the European Union, Canada and China in Brussels on the 13th and 14th of July 2023. The meeting was organized against the backdrop of the COP28, scheduled to be held in Dubai at the end of this year, deliberated on a multitude of issues related to climate, including on the expectations for a meaningful global stocktake decision in Dubai on how to speed up global cooperation on renewable energy and energy efficiency, among others. In the same vein, participants of the meeting exchanged views on how to implement finance for loss and damage, one of the most important outcomes of the COP27, which was held in Egypt. During the meeting, Dabbebe underscored mitigation and adaptation works being carried out by the government of Ethiopia in light of the challenges that the country faces due to climate-induced disasters. The Ministry of Innovation and Technology says it has been developing data system and technology to help tree plantation program that is scheduled to be undertaken on Monday to plant 500 million seedlings in just a single day. The ministry also announced that the data system that displays the program on a portal that goes by greenlegacy.et has enormous national importance. Shagao Yamatao has the details.
Preparations are well underway to plant 500 million seedlings on July 17, another record high target by the very nation, which back in 2019 stunned the world by planting 350 million seedlings in a day. A task force comprised of the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, as well as that of Agriculture, INSA, Ethio Telecom and other institutions is established and working on data system.
To
display the locations where tree plantation take place, data development system has been raided for our Green Legacy campaign on July 17. It is linked with GPS so that it notifies their location and the trees being planted. The Ministry of Innovation developed greenlegacy.et portal system, which has been used over the past 3 years to control every activity from the center.
Director General at the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, Aviu Sinamo, indicated that the portal system has been functional since the Green Legacy program started back in 2019, but now it is operating on more advanced levels.
We have been updating the portal system features from time to time. For example, the system used to display the report of the regions only, but this time the system goes down to the zonal level as well.
Sinam also pointed out that series of trainings have been given to data collectors to ensure real data are entered into the portal system, adding the Green Legacy program supported by Data Development System has enormous national importance.
According to a recent finding, controlling the data system helps predict tomorrow's plan. So we control the data system and use it as an input. For example, which areas are preferable to specific tree seedlings, which ones can be used for urban development, irrigation, and so on. So the data system has enormous national significance.
He also called on Ethiopians to actively participate in the Green Legacy program on Monday.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and World Remit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Burr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
Welcome back again. Seeking enhanced financial and material support from partners to rehabilitate ex-combatants is imperative for the effectiveness of the Disarmament, Demobilization and Rehabilitation DDR program, according to National Rehabilitation Commissioner Teshome Toga. The National Rehabilitation Commission has so far identified 371,971 ex-combatants in 8 regions that it would bring into camps so as to enable them to engage in the development, peace and democracy of the country. Approached by reporters at the DDR Consultation Forum, National Rehabilitation Commissioner Teshome Toga said the disarmament, demobilization and rehabilitation of ex-combatants cannot be achieved by the government. Financial and material support, particularly from NGOs and civil societies, is necessary, he noted. Ethiopia and Germany have signed a 25 million euros, approximately 1.5 billion birr grant agreement at a ceremony held in the Ministry of Finance. Supports the project, namely strengthening rural value chains in Ethiopia, is aimed to support the improvement of critical rural value chains in the agricultural sector in East Gojam and RC zones in Amhara and Oromia. The purpose of the project is to and market access for high potential rain-fed farming systems Innovative automotive industry investments in Ethiopia, a delegation led by EIC visited Porto and conferred with the CEO of Caetano Bus, Patricia Vancolesos, and the COO of Salvador, Caetano Jorge Costa. It is stated that the group has established international reputation for the manufacturing of the Caetano bus, including Cobus airport buses, which the Ethiopian airline uses. Its approach on creative mobility solutions and sustainability needs of cities fueled by diesel, electricity and hydrogen is critical for cities like Addis Ababa. The group is also one of the largest players of the automotive sector, engaged in advanced and innovative business retail of major car brands with a footprint across 41 countries worldwide. A significant milestone, the group's leadership accepted EIC's invitation to visit Ethiopia in September, assess the landscape firsthand and concretely discuss possible investment drives in Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Agricultural Authority and the Netherlands Center for the Promotion of Imports (CBI) have signed a memorandum of understanding to boost competitiveness of agricultural products in the international market, the Netherlands Embassy in Ethiopia announced. The Netherlands Center for the Promotion of Imports from Developing Countries (CBI) launched its fresh fruit and vegetable project yesterday with participants from the private sector, Ethiopian government actors and development partners, the embassy stated. According to the Netherlands Embassy, the project aims to increase the sustainability and competitiveness of the Ethiopian fruit and vegetable sector by supporting small and medium-sized enterprises (SMEs), the enabling environment for export and improving regulatory functions of the sector. During the launching of the project, the MOU was signed between EAA and CBI.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and World Remit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Birr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
Just officially entering into the Masai Mara National Reserve. Where our camp is the Mara North Conservancy. So it's a conservation area, but it's not technically like the National Reserve. The National Reserve is actually $80 US per person per day to get in. So it's very steep. If you're planning a trip to the Mara in Kenya, keep that in mind. And that's something that's usually not included in your camp. Across the pride of lions. There's a bunch of them.
That was so cool.
Oh yeah. We found a cheetah. What a treat. Oh my god.
And finally, South African opposition leader Julius Malema spoke on Friday after the country's biggest opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, announced earlier this month a 7-party coalition for next year's vote. The coalition could include the country's third largest party to oust long-term ruling ANC next year. Shagao Yamata tells you more.
Could South Africa's proposed opposition coalition include the country's third largest party to oust long-term ruling ANC next year? If it were to the economic freedom fighters, that would be the case. Julius Malema spoke Friday after the country's biggest opposition party announced a 7-party coalition excluding the EFF.
The EFF would like to work with opposition parties to remove the corrupt ANC from power, but also to give the people of South Africa something different. But we cannot impose ourselves on the opposition parties. If they don't want us, we'll work with those who want to work with us.
The leaders of the parties that have agreed to form a coalition will hold talks in mid-August. During his press conference, Malema also mentioned neighboring Zimbabwe's presidential and parliamentary elections will be held on August 23rd.
We need a stable Zimbabwe, especially ourselves as South Africa. We need a stable Zimbabwe, and we so wish that this election are successful and there's no violence and they produce stability for the sake of our own peace. This thing that we see here of Zimbabweans being beaten up and all of that really is not nice. It's not nice. So a functioning Zimbabwe will lessen some of these xenophobic tendencies that we come across from time to time.
South Africans will cast their ballot next year for the national and provincial elections. Under the Constitution, the National Assembly meets after the elections to choose the president.
You're watching Addis News Hour. Here's a reminder of the stories making headlines. Ethiopia and Egypt discuss means to overcome the current stalemate in the GERD negotiations. And South African parties put up a coalition to oust the ANC. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Many thanks for watching. Have a good night and take care.